Welcome to my podcast, Ruella Talks Recruitment. Welcome to the second episode of Ruella Talks Recruitment. In this episode, I was very fortunate to interview Amelia Sordell. Amelia is a personal branding expert and the owner of the Klowt personal branding agency. In this episode, we talk about why personal branding is so important when growing and scaling a business. And as usual, I'll let my guest do the talking. So Amelia, thank you so much for joining us today on Ruella Talks Recruitment. And obviously the subject that you are the expert in across LinkedIn and many other channels is personal branding. And the reason why I really wanted to talk to you about this today is not only have you supported us on our journey through personal branding over the last sort of 12 months or so, I know you're doing a massively fantastic job for everyone else. So I just really wanted to congratulate you on your success with Klowt. I think you've gone from 0 to 5 staff since last August. Is that correct?
Yeah, 0 to 5. So it's been a journey, a very accelerated rocket fuel journey, but it's been amazing.
No, congratulations. And I know obviously now you have a second business called Socially Uncommon.
Yeah, Socially Uncommon. So Socially Uncommon is kind of the answer to bad social media. So a lot of B2B businesses, as we all know, are worried about the kind of corporate marketing approved content that they're putting out on their channels. And as a result, they get no traction. So Socially Uncommon was kind of the answer to a lot of our clients' pain point, which is we want to build up this amazing social media following for our brand as well as our personal brands. But how do we do that? So we've started a completely separate business. So we're not diluting Klowt's kind of personal brand expertise. But I've started with a business partner in the States. And yeah, It's absolutely flying. We've got some awesome people that we're working with. We're building pages phenomenally quickly of really engaged communities, which is really what social media is all about.
Fantastic. So look, I'm going to dive straight in. So for all the naysayers out there who think personal branding is a waste of time, I know it's not, you know it's not, obviously that's what you do, but why is it important right now to have a personal brand, particularly in the context of recruitment, which is my background and your background? Why do we need to have a personal brand?
Yeah, it's funny. I get asked this question a lot, and it's actually one of the things that I blow up at the beginning of workshops that I do with businesses. We blow up that bomb of, why should you be building your personal brand? So the first thing is that your individuals within your business have 10 times the reach of your company brand, right? So 10 times. So if you've got 100 people, 50 people within your business, every single individual one of them has 10 times the reach of your company brand. So if you think of that from a reach perspective and a communications perspective and a marketing perspective, your people have so much more impact on the people that you're trying to reach, people you're trying to sell to, as your company brand does. So that's the first thing. The second thing is mass marketing really used to be about brands talking down to the customer, right? Like only pushing the messages that they wanted the customer to receive. But with the rise of social media, we've now come into this era of marketing where people are sort of forming tribes around businesses and tribes around individual causes. It's the reason why reality TV exists. It's the reason why influencers on Instagram exist. It's the reason why you and I buy Huel. It's the reason why I might wear Lululemon and not Nike. We are drawn towards specific brands and specific people for reasons that only our emotions could potentially describe. And that is why human beings are so powerful in marketing a business, because it's so much easier to connect to a human being than it is to a faceless corporate logo. And finally, I think probably most importantly, is your team are so much more personal than you can possibly be on LinkedIn or on Instagram, whatever. A company can only do so much. People really do have the power to propel businesses, as I've shown with my business, from 0 to 100. You've only got to go and look at, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, has 1.2 million followers versus Spanx, which has 500,000. Dan Price at Gravity Payments has 100,000 followers, and the Gravity Payments company page has 30,000. My brand has nearly 50,000 followers and my company brand has 6,000. So it really is I don't think it's a one or the other. You don't have a company brand or a personal brand, but if you have both, you are an absolute force.
And how do you start? I mean, I know for myself, it's been quite a long journey. It's not something that happens overnight. And I think it's important to sort of let people know that it isn't a sort of an instant fix. But where do you start? How do you go about doing this? Because also, obviously there are also people who are fairly reticent about putting themselves out there. So what are the key things we should do first and foremost, or make sure that we're doing to start off with?
Yeah, so what we teach and how we want people to start building their personal brand, because typically there's 4 reasons why they haven't started already. 1, they don't know what to say. 2, they don't know where to start. 3, they are worried about what other people are going to say. And 4, they don't have time. So the easiest way to get around that is to just go and comment on other people's posts. So number 1, that helps build up your confidence. Number 2, it helps you add to the conversation, which is what personal branding is all about. It's not about you. It's about adding to the discussion that you're trying to create, or at least facilitate on LinkedIn. So go and add to someone else's discussion and add your value there. But 3, you can repurpose those comments as posts once you build up your confidence in having an opinion online, right? So my best performing post this year was a copy and paste job that I had done on someone else. So I posted a comment on someone else's post, and that comment actually got more reactions and more comments than the post itself. And I thought, oh, people must quite like this, so I'm going to post it as a post instead. And that got nearly 14,000 reactions. So
wow, that's amazing.
Build up your confidence. Start small. Like, remember, this is a long play. This is not a short-term fix, as you said. It's about taking baby steps. And once you've built up your confidence in commenting on other people's stuff, you can then start posting your own stuff, starting with repurposing the comments that you've left.
Okay. And I know one of the questions you get asked a lot on your show, which I'll just say to the audience who's listening, every Wednesday, 12:15, your recruitment. Sorry, it's got quite a long title. Perhaps you should say it, because I might get it wrong.
Personal branding Q&A and LinkedIn Hacks Live. 12:15 Wednesdays.
So I've watched every single one so far. How many shows have you done, by the way, now?
Oh God, I've lost count. I've done one every single week, except for 2 weeks over Christmas and 1 week the other week. So 3 weeks out of between August the 1st,
so a lot of shows
to now.
But I know the question you get asked the most is, how do you come up with ideas for content? So perhaps you don't mind covering that one again. But what are the best ways of doing that?
So there's a couple of things, right, that I think with content. And one of the biggest things for people is not knowing what to say, right? If we go back to what I was saying earlier about the blockers that people have to overcome, people are worried about what they have to say. So there's 3 different types of content, or 2 different types. You want to break it down on the macro level. 1, there's curated, and 2, there's created. Curated content is screenshots of articles that you found interesting and you giving commentary on, screenshots of tweets that you liked or that are related to your target audience, or as information that you would like to share to them, screenshots of Instagram posts that you felt really related to who you are and the point you were trying to prove, or backed up what you were trying to say in your post specifically. That's curated stuff. And that stuff that's very sort of like, I would say, not deep dive on your personal brand. People aren't really super getting to know you, but it's a great way to get who you are across through using other people's content if you haven't got the confidence to really go hard on your own yet. The other side is created, and this is where a lot of people stumble over, because they think you have to constantly be making original things for it to be interesting. You don't. I've been saying the same thing every single day for the last year, but I've just been saying it in a slightly different way. So as you said, I do a weekly live once a week. We chop up my weekly live into 10 videos. We then turn some of those videos into checklists, into flip books, into lists I write as a text only post. So don't feel like you can't regurgitate the same message. I've literally been saying the same thing for a year, and no one gets old of it. No one gets tired of it, because number 1, only 3 to 5% of your audience will ever see your content anyway. And number 2, if you want to be known for something, if you want to be the recruiter of choice in your target market, if you want to be the choice, not a choice, you have to absolutely hammer your message of adding value to candidates, adding value to clients. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, and just finding a different way to say it.
And I know, again, when you've been on your show, you've suggested that people perhaps listen to different podcasts, they follow thought leaders. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit more as to how to get those content ideas in the first place?
Yeah, so one of the hacks that I teach people, so if you go back to a minute ago when I was saying where to start with your personal brand, you need to first of all go and comment on people's stuff. And the easiest way to do that is to bookmark activity feeds of those thought leaders into your Chrome bar or into your Safari or whatever you use for
Okay.
your internet. And you can dive into your bookmarks every single morning, click on it and go and leave all your comments. That's the first thing. So you're already looking at these people's posts.
Yeah.
You can then start seeing what is trending, like what is doing well with those influencers posts, like what message is coming across well, and see what's resonating with the audience. But the kind of second layer of that is see what people are commenting, what questions are they asking, what answers could you give to those questions in your own posts. That is one of the most powerful places to go and get inspired. I love podcasts. I listen to a bunch of podcasts, Diary of a CEO, High Performance Podcast. I would recommend that anyone who is trying to get into a specific market, listen to the podcasts that your clients or candidates listen to, not the ones that you listen to, because you're a recruiter, they're not.
Yes.
Another place as well is medium.com. So medium.com is the most underrated places to get amazing content ideas.
I've never heard of it before. What is it?
It's an amazing platform. Basically, anyone can write an article and upload it to Medium and get paid for it. So it's a consumer created news and kind of blog forum. But the beauty of it is there's so many niche spaces on it, and you can curate your feed when you're on Medium to be exactly what it is that you want to read. So if I'm trying to sell into tech startups, I can curate my homepage to only give me information that's related to tech, startups, growth, etc., acceleration, all that kind of stuff. So as soon as I go onto medium.com, I have thousands of articles that I can read, and it will tell me which ones are trending in those niches as well. I could potentially use as inspiration to go and write my own ideas, thoughts. Maybe I disagree with this thing. Why do I disagree with it, etc.
Okay. And then the biggest mistake that people are making when they're writing their content, what would you say that is?
Saying too much. Always.
Yeah.
So most people, and this goes the same with every single place in which we need to write of any kind, right? Websites, resumes, emails, etc. Yeah. People always say too much. They always tell you their life story, the whole context of the post, the whole context of the website. You don't need to have every single detail to get your point across. Some of my best performing posts have been one sentence, because
I know, I've seen that. Yeah.
It was that powerful that all I needed to say was that one sentence, and it hit the exact message that I needed it to hit. So one of my favorite quotes is by Coco Chanel, and the quote goes that when you leave the house, take off one item of jewelry or one accessory, because no one wants to leave the house over accessorized because it looks too much. It's exactly the same as your post. Before you hit post, cut it by a third. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but if you look at your post and you read sentence by sentence and you think, does that really need to be here for it to make sense? If the answer is no, you need to delete that sentence because it's not relevant. So it needs to be
so true. Yeah. I've seen it.
The best copywriting is that's the most impactful, is the most concise.
In fact, I've seen a lot of very, very good posts on LinkedIn, but they, as you said, they're just too long. Is there sort of like a particular format that we should try and follow? Because I know you always like to try and have a headline. How should you then progress that post to get the maximum effect? Write it for maximum effect.
I kind of see writing LinkedIn specifically, right? So every social media platform has its own format that works best. LinkedIn specifically is the answer I'm going to give. So I kind of see it a little bit like a sandwich. So if you think of your headline, what are you going to say that's going to get the attention? What are you going to get what message you're trying to get across that's going to get someone to want to read your whole post? Because bearing in mind, people are going to only see the first 6 lines of your post on LinkedIn. So you need to grab their attention as quickly as humanly possible. So first layer of bread, you kind of think of it as a sandwich. First layer of bread has to be the punchiest, most attention grabbing thing that you can possibly say, right? About what it is that you're going to say. So if I was going to do a list, for example, if I'm a recruiter, I might say, here are the 5 reasons that your resume won't get you an interview. That's quite punchy because you're about to tell someone where they're messing up, right? So in that context, 5 reasons why you're not getting interviewed, or 5 reasons why your resume is stopping you from getting that interview. The next thing you need to do, which is the meat and the lettuce and the mayo and all those good things that make a sandwich delicious, is you need to give context. You need to give the information that backs up what it is that you said in your headline. And then the final thing, which is the last piece of bread, which closes it to make a sandwich, is a call to action or an end note, right? So could you say thoughts, opinions, who's with me? What do you think? Don't you agree? These are all things that will encourage people to leave you a comment. And when you get comments, that's ultimately what will build the engagement and build the reach of that particular post and give you a much further traction than you otherwise would.
Yeah. And obviously there are all sorts of different types of content. A lot more people are putting out video, then there's text posts, as you said, there's quotes, etc., etc. I could go on. Which ones are the ones that get the best engagement, in your opinion, on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I know it's not a silver bullet answer you're probably hoping for. In isolation, text posts perform best. So based on LinkedIn data, in isolation, text posts perform best. However, text posts perform best, in my opinion, because they are easier to consume than overly complicated graphics or stock images. No one wants to engage with a stock image. Or videos that have no context, that are too long, or worse, don't have subtitles.
Okay.
So if you're going to diversify your content, which I highly recommend everyone does, like it's good to have a diverse feed. If you go and look at my content, I've got videos, I've got screenshots, I've got downloadable flip books, I've got graphics, I've got text only posts. I really try and keep it as diverse as humanly possible.
Really fresh, yeah.
So I can test as well. I can see what works and what doesn't and all that good stuff. So it's important to have a diverse feed. However, if you are going to diversify your feed and you're going to move away from text posts, only focus on text posts if you're a great writer. If you're not a great writer and you're good on video, do video instead. Find the thing that is really good for you and you feel comfortable in. I'm good on video because I love people and I love talking to people. So when I have an interaction with someone like I'm having with you now, Ru, I feel comfortable and I feel confident, and it's much easier for me to get my point across than it would be if I sat down and had to go, oh, how am I going to say all of this stuff I'm just saying now in a text post? It would take me a minute. So I love doing video for that reason, but some people might hate video and they might be a really good copywriter. So first of all, focus on your strengths. Second of all, if you can diversify your feed, do screenshots, do Twitter shots, do video, do text only post, etc. But don't focus on one thing if you feel like you can't. Like if you feel like you can focus on lots of other things and you can create flip books and you can go and screenshot articles and you can do video and you can do text posts, please do all of them. But first and foremost, just stick with what it is that you're most good at.
One of the things that you said right at the beginning was one of the reasons why people don't do this is because of a lack of time. In their mind, their perception is this is going to take a long time. Realistically, how much time do you need to spend on this every day to get the kind of engagement where you would actually be seeing an ROI, some sort of return on everything that you're doing? And it's going to take time, but how much time should we put into this every day?
So my business is 100% inbound. We don't spend any money on adverts. We don't spend any money on anything that involves lead generation whatsoever. We are a demand generation inbound business. Everything comes into my DMs or my colleagues' DMs.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I spend an hour a day. So I do half an hour in the morning at 9 a.m. typically. Sometimes it fluctuates between 9 and 10, whatever it might be. But I'll do half an hour in the morning where I do my post and I go back to the initial comments and I go and comment on other people's stuff. And then I'll dive back in later in the day for another half an hour, 45 minutes sometimes, to go back to more comments that have accumulated and maybe sometimes post again if I feel like it. But this is coming from someone who is a, personal branding agency, and I am doing it for a living, but also for other people. And I don't really spend more than an hour, sometimes two, if I'm feeling like I really need to, but it's very rare that I'll spend more than an hour on LinkedIn because I've got a whole business to run. I've got a team to manage. I've got clients to manage. No one has time to spend all day on LinkedIn, except I know recruiters spend all day on LinkedIn. But no one has time to spend all day on LinkedIn posting, going back to comments, etc. So an hour a day, half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the afternoon. And don't see this as like an additional thing. This is the future of marketing. This is the future of how you're going to attract the right candidates, the right clients, the right customers. And if you don't start doing this now, you're going to regret it, because a lot of other recruiters are starting to do this. A lot of other businesses are starting to do this, and they're already building traction. Some of our clients have got kind of 15 to 30% inbound off LinkedIn now, which is crazy for recruitment agencies. Number one, it's great because it means they don't have to spend so much money on emails. But number two, it means they can increase their prices, reduce their rebate terms, etc., because they're much more in demand than other recruiters that are just smashing phones all day.
It's so true. But and again, there's just a couple of points I want to pick up on. How many times a week should we be posting on LinkedIn? Let's just use LinkedIn for this example again. How many times a week should we be posting to get the levels of engagement that we need for it to see, again, a return on our investment in time?
So I used to think I used to know it was about 3 times a week, right? But there's been a few algorithm updates since then. So now we encourage people to post a minimum of 5 times a week. And that's really, really, really simple to break down. So the first couple of posts in the week, you could post a screenshot of an article that your target audience might find interesting, or maybe it's a video that you've done or whatever. Middle of the week, you do things that are more about your capabilities as a recruiter. So like how-to guides, the 5 things on your resume that are not going to get you hired. Like, here are the 3 things to include in your cover letter, things that position you as an expert in your space. And then the final thing that you post in the week is what we call a hook post, which could be a screenshot of a client messaging you saying, oh my God, this is the best hire we've ever made, or, a testimonial you have, but the most unproduced, the better. So don't go and ask your marketing department to get it all branded, because we believe actually that doesn't do as well as the really simple screenshot testimonial.
So don't do some flashy thing on Canva. Sorry to interrupt you.
Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. In our experience, the ones that work the best are the really raw screenshots on the back. Do your branded colors on the background, but just really, really raw screenshots. For someone saying, you know what, Ruella, you did an amazing job for us. Super happy with our hire. Thank you so much. Can't wait to work with you again. Because it's authentic, it's real, it's not overly marketed. And people can relate to that. They can understand receiving a WhatsApp message or receiving an email, etc. So that's typically the format that we like people to follow, because that mirrors a funnel. So if you think of your beginning of the week as like brand awareness, like what is the things that you're going to say that's going to appeal to most people? What can you comment on that's going to appeal to most people? Middle of the week is niching down into your target audience. So keep teaching them something, giving them value. Everything, you never ask for anything in return. It's all free, valuable. And then the last post of the week on a Friday is your hook post, which is where you finally ask for something. So the ratio here is 4 pieces of free, valuable content before you ask for anything in return, which is in your hook post.
So sort of building up your credibility during the week, and then at the end, it's the hook post where you ask for something, essentially.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look how great I am. Come and speak to me if you want to know more.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay. And then just moving on to Instagram for a moment, because I think you and I have had this conversation before where we've said LinkedIn and Instagram seem to be the 2 best platforms, perhaps for recruiters. I know people talk about Twitter a lot as well. What would you do differently on Instagram versus what we're trying to do on LinkedIn at the moment?
So I think first and foremost, it's important to say that you don't need thousands and thousands of followers to generate leads on Instagram. I have 2,000 followers and I get leads every single week from people on Instagram, because the people that do follow me are highly engaged. They're really interested in what I have to say. I'm not out here trying to get fake followers or, unactive accounts. Like it's not necessarily about the amount of people that follow you. It's the quality of the people that follow you on Instagram, right? So that's first and foremost. The second thing is, on Instagram, I think you really need to be aware of like the context of the platform. So, a really good example of this is a recruitment agency called Carmichael Recruitment, and they just post memes all day, right?
Oh, okay.
They have like 170,000 followers because they post memes of construction stuff that's gone wrong, because they're a construction engineering recruitment agency, and it does so well for them because they are appealing to people's sense of humor. They are telling jokes that only their target market would understand, and it's just so intelligent. So they're contextual to the platform. Another platform that would be a really good idea as well, I know we're talking about Instagram, but TikTok, the nuances between LinkedIn and TikTok are so similar. So the way I communicate on LinkedIn, I communicate the same way on TikTok, but I just do it in video format. So some of my text posts I'm now turning into TikToks, and they're really working. So whatever you're posting on LinkedIn, see if you can then your five ways to get hired in the next 2 months, like turn that into a TikTok and see how it does. Like, honestly, I highly recommend TikTok to all recruiters out there who are trying to reach, particularly like under sort of 40 people, like, not to bring age into it, but the under 40s are really
Yes.
active on LinkedIn. So anyone that you're thinking of kind of like junior all the way up to like senior or middle management, go to TikTok, because that's where you'll find them.
Interesting. So you're using TikTok a lot more now?
I love TikTok. I'm obsessed.
Okay.
My team think I'm crazy because I'm like, oh, I'm going to do another TikTok today, guys. And they're like, really? Like all my Gen Z team are just like, oh, like I'm the embarrassing mum, but I love it.
And then going back to Instagram, what should we? I don't think I quite have understood what we should be posting on there in comparison to LinkedIn, because I tend to post the same things, and I can see what we know. We're not going. Instagram is a bit of an afterthought for me. If I were to really focus on that, how should I do that, or how should anyone do it?
So
Really?
Instagram's a visual platform, right? LinkedIn is very much text-based first. So Instagram is very visual. So if you're going to post something on LinkedIn and it does really well on LinkedIn, like make the post that you've written, it should be very conversational anyway, but make it a little bit more colloquial, and then post that post that you've done as a caption on Instagram with an image that is suitable. So for example, I did a list the other day on LinkedIn and I said the 5 things I wish I knew sooner, and I listed it, and that was a text post. I then created a flip book and shared it on Instagram because it's visual, of the same things that I said in this list, but this time it was a flip book, and it did really, really well on Instagram. So you have to contextualize it to whichever. It doesn't matter whether it's TikTok or Instagram. You have to look at your surroundings and see what other people are doing and go, right, so that person's posting images of behind the scenes in the office and that's doing really well. Okay, so maybe I should be doing that instead of posting, memes. Or maybe you're posting selfies and they're not doing well, and then you go and post a meme and it does really well. So you need to understand, number one, the context of the platform. It's visual. It's not about necessarily the caption. And second of all, who are you trying to appeal to? But I don't ever want any recruiter to sit here and think that they need to be on Instagram and TikTok. You need to be where your clients are. You need to be where your customers are. If you're in tech, that's probably going to be on Twitter. If you're in marketing, that's probably going to be on TikTok. Like, you need to understand where your customer is and then go to where they are, instead of going, oh, I need to be everywhere to everyone.
And that's obviously probably one of the most important things to think about right at the beginning, is which is the correct platform for you. And then earlier on, again, you were talking about commenting on other people's posts, but equally when people are commenting on your post, again, to drive that engagement, I think you've said it's you must reply to people's posts. So when someone has made a comment on your post, you should comment back, because that's one of the things that drives the algorithm. Aside from that, what other things drive the algorithm? Because as you said, only a very small percentage of people actually are seeing your content, and I think there is an assumption that everybody's seeing it. Everybody that you're linked to sees your stuff. Why does it not work like that?
So as you pointed out, again, like only 3 to 5% of your audience will ever see your posts. So I mean, I hate talking about hacking stuff, although my live is talk about hacks. Anyone that attends them will know that pretty much everything I give you is practical, like, advice, as opposed to hacking stuff. Because I think when you hack algorithms, etc., you build up an audience that might be big, but they're not engaged. You need to build a community. You can't hack your way to a community. You need to build those relationships one by one. And part of building those relationships is having a dialogue with people. So if you're going to ask people to engage with your stuff, you've got to reply to them. You can't be like, hey, what's your opinion? And then you don't actually go back to them after they give you their opinion, right? So the first thing is, it's about being polite, I guess. The second thing is, it's about engaging with the conversation that you just tried to start. Like, don't be that person that just puts something out there and run. Like, that's lazy. People will eventually clock on that they don't get a reply from you. And I've seen some really quite well-known people do this. They obviously have agencies that do it for them, and they don't go back to comments. And so I've watched their engagement decline over the past couple of months because they just don't go back to people's comments. And it's kind of worth noting that there is some evidence to suggest that going back to comments now doesn't actually have the same impact on the algorithm as it used to. However, I still stand by my point, which is, if you're going to ask people to engage with your stuff, like, go back to them. If you don't want them to engage with your stuff, then why are you doing this? Because it's about creating a discussion. It's about adding value. And if people aren't interested in your stuff, they'll tell you. And that's how you get more visibility, is you create stuff that people want to see, want to watch, want to be educated by, entertained by, inspired by. And the market won't lie. If your content's not good enough, you won't get any engagement. That's how you hack it, is you make great content.
Yeah. Who do you think out there is doing a really great job, recruitment related or non-recruitment related, that's worth following because they're doing a lot of the things that you, apart from yourself, obviously, who else do you follow? Who do you think that's doing a great job out there?
I think you're smashing it, Rue. You're doing a great job. So number
Thank
one,
you.
Ruella. Crouch, go and follow Ruella.
Thank you.
Number two, I think Chris O'Connell's doing an awesome job.
Yeah,
Chris is
he
an
is.
NED, and he is prolific, absolutely prolific.
He's posting all the time. I don't know how he keeps up with it, but the engagement's just going through the roof, isn't it?
We're very blessed to have him as our first ever client when we started Klowt, and to watch his growth from where he started, coming to us having not been in the industry for 5 years, to now where he's at, and he's getting, not just really high engagement on his post, but he's like 100% inbound, has generated 6 figures of revenue all into his inbox. So really, really awesome. Go and check his stuff out. Other people in recruitment who are doing a really good job. It's hard to say because there's not that many people in recruitment doing a really good job.
What about people that you follow that you feel?
So people I follow are Stephen Bartlett, I love. Carrie Rose, I love. Katie Leeson, Dominic McGregor. Who else is doing a really good job? Dan Price of Gravity Payments is an example of someone who's literally started from zero and gone all the way to the top. And you'll notice the examples I'm giving you of people who aren't negative. There are a lot of people on LinkedIn who will trade off the back of negativity, bringing other people down, calling people out. And that's just not the kind of stuff that I want to engage with. Like, for me, I want to surround myself with positivity and dopamine and good vibes and, people who are really authentic and honest, and I know who are themselves online as well as offline. And it's really easy to get sucked into misery on social media and sucked into the black hole of negativity. And actually, in my opinion, there's a lot of people that I've seen on LinkedIn, particularly, who are probably considered maybe even thought leaders, who are actually bordering on bullying in the way that they call people out. So don't follow those people, because you will get pulled down a rabbit hole of stuff that you don't want to actually engage with. Go and follow people that make you happy, that add value into your life, that potentially could add value into your client's life, because when you comment on their post, it pulls it into your feed. So you're becoming this kind of research expert to the people that are following you. And second of all, or third of all, I should say, social media should be a place that makes you happy, and you have the power to do that by just curating the people that you follow and the stuff that you engage with to make it a happy place. And that has been a game changer for me. I was one of those people who used to get serious anxiety about posting and about engaging. What do people think? Oh my God, I don't look good in that picture, etc. The minute I started curating my feed on every single platform I'm on to only be following people that make me happy, make me feel good, add value to my life changed. Not just my social media, my life changed. So I highly recommend curating the feed for the life that you want and curating your social media.
If you do get the odd negative comment, how do you suggest you deal with that? I know it will depend contextually on what someone's actually said, but should you just ignore it, or should you deal with it in some way? Let's say it's not something that's really outrageous, but someone's put something that's really very negative about something what you've posted in particular.
So there's 3 types of negative comment. There's the first one which disagrees with you, and that's good, because if you're going to ask people for their opinion, you're going to expect that some of them aren't going to agree with you. It's like having a discussion now, Rue. Like, in fact, I think we connected because I didn't agree with your post. And
I didn't agree with something. I didn't agree with your post, and I wrote a comment.
Oh, there you go.
You wrote a comment back to me, and then I thought, oops.
But that's good, because it's a discussion, it's a dialogue, and that's what being a human being is all about. It's diversity of thought and having a discussion, right? So that's the first type of comment. They're good, right? Just go, and if it's okay to change your mind. Like, if they brought new evidence to the table, you can get actually fair point, like valid. The second type of negative comment is the one where it's just like, oh, you're an idiot, like just stupid comments from people who literally all they do all day is just write negative stuff and has no context and not adding any value. And for those ones, I just give them a thumbs up, because first of all, they've given me engagement. So thank you. Second of all, if I reply to them with a thumbs up, and then maybe a little bit petty, but you could just feel the steam coming out of their ears from here. Like, just don't engage with it. Just thumbs up. Yeah, thanks. Cool. Thanks for the comment. My favorite reply to those is, did you know that when you engage with other people's stuff on LinkedIn, it gives you more of that stuff? So enjoy. Like, I love doing that comment. The third type of comment is the one that's really, really offensive. Not just negative, but actually it's probably in like you could report that and it would get removed. And that's exactly what I do. So I just, if there's stuff on, if I get, and it's very rare that you get that kind of comment. I have seen it once in a while, but normally I just get loads of people being like, oh, you're crap, you're there. And I'm like, cool, thanks for the engagement. Appreciate the support.
I mean, I think it's important to have an opinion, it's important to have an opinion, and I
have a backbone.
Yeah, absolutely. So if someone disagrees with something I've said, I'm very comfortable with that. But if it's rude and offensive, then I then want to deal with that. And I think a thumbs up is a great idea. Thank you so much. So if you were to finish this off, and I'm sorry, this is such a sort of typical question, but what would be your top 3 tips moving forward if you are about to begin this journey, or you're going through this journey and you're at that point where you're thinking, I'm putting in all this effort every day, I'm not getting anywhere? What are the things we should really focus on to get to the point that I've got to, that you've got to, where we're seeing a lot of work coming in every day now, and it's through the work of what we've done over the last 12 months? Your top 3 tips. Sorry, that was a very long-winded question.
Top 3 tips of building a personal brand. So first of all, make sure your profile is geared to success, right? Good picture, like no silly filters, no black and white. You need to be smiling, be candid, have it on a nice backdrop. Like, go and get one of your friends to take it for you if you have to, but get your profile picture get your page optimized, update your URL, your headline, your bio, your experience. Like, get those keywords in there and tell your story. That's the first place people are going to come. The first conversion that people are going to make is following you, and you need to make sure that that landing page, that storefront, which is your profile, is good enough for them to follow. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, go and comment on other people's stuff. We've worked with people who don't post any content. All they do is post comments, and they win inbound business from it, because they're adding so much value in the comment section that they don't even need to post content, right? So comment on other people's stuff, make it a priority. And the third thing is, remember that consistency wins, right? You might not see any results after a month, maybe not even after 2, but after 3, you've generated 3 more thousand followers, and all of a sudden you get 1 or 2 leads. Maybe they're not quite qualified, they're not quite right, but they're a lead, right? Consistency wins, because winners focus on winning. They focus on getting to, wherever it is that they need to go. And people that aren't focused on winning, focusing on the people that they're chasing, right? So if you're on LinkedIn and you're going, oh, she's getting 1,000 reactions every single post, you're not focusing on what you should be doing, which is creating your own content, commenting on other people's posts, and curating your own stuff to make sure that you will be in that position. I think it's really easy to look at people like you, Ru, and probably my profile as well, and go, oh, she's got 45,000 followers. It's really easy for her to say to that. How do you think I got them? I showed up consistently every single day for the last 18 months.
Yes.
And that's how I did it. So if you want to do this, that's how you win. You're consistent, because a lot of people won't be.
I think it's a very interesting statistic to finish off. What percentage of people are actually commenting and posting on LinkedIn right now? Because I think there is a percentage that you're aware of.
Yeah, so 99% of people do not post content on LinkedIn. Like, the end. 99% of people on LinkedIn do not post content, which is crazy, right? 9 billion content impressions made every single week by only 3 million users, which means that LinkedIn has a massive supply and demand problem. They have loads and loads of demand and no supply whatsoever. So people that do start building their personal brand have got a competitive advantage, because they have this supply and demand problem. It means that you can fill a hole that they currently can't fill. So you're going to be rewarded with engagement if you're good enough. But the second thing is, 90% of people don't even comment on people's stuff. These are not made up statistics. These are real statistics of active users on LinkedIn. 90% of people on LinkedIn do not comment on other people's stuff. They are scrollers. They are consumers. They're not creators. Don't be one of those people.
Fantastic. That's a really great way to end this particular episode. Thank you so much. In terms of people contacting you, I think probably LinkedIn is probably, you seem to spend most of your time on there. So LinkedIn is the best place to get hold of you or connect with you.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn at Amelia Sordell, or Instagram at Amelia Sordell, or TikTok, or even Twitter at Amelia Sordell. I think I'm the only Amelia Sordell in the world. So if you just type in Amelia Sordell into any of those platforms, you will find me.
We will find you. Lovely. Thank you again for your time. We really appreciate all of the info that you've given. And I really advise anyone who's listening to this particular episode to take heed, because we followed everything that you've done. And as a consequence of that, we have won so much new business. We've engaged with so many new candidates over the last few months. So, thank you from us for all your support. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ru, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Take care. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Ruella Talks Recruitment. Please do leave us a review with your thoughts. If you'd like to be advised of future episodes, please hit subscribe. Thank you.